Have you ever found yourself in a moment so dangerous, so tempting, that even though every fiber of your being screamed to stop, you didn't? That's the story I'm about to share. It's about one decision, one blurred line, and how crossing it left a mark that can never truly fade. It all started as nothing more than a joke. My friends had been teasing me about being too uptight, too settled into a life that looked perfect from the outside but felt like suffocation on the inside. I had been married for years, but the fire was gone. Our conversations were all bills, responsibilities, routines. So when the guys mentioned a private resort, exclusive, invitation only, and whispered about as a place where rules didn't exist, I laughed at first. But the more I thought about it, the more it sounded like exactly what I didn't know I'd been craving. An escape. A chance to be someone else. My wife had agreed to come with me, but at the last minute, work pulled her away. I almost cancelled, thinking maybe it was a sign. But then my phone rang. It was my mother. Her name is Caroline. To most people, she doesn't look or act like a mother of a grown son. She's youthful, energetic, with a laugh that makes people turn their heads. She's always been the kind of woman who doesn't blend into the background. She dresses bold, she jokes freely, she has this effortless charm. So when she heard I'd be going alone, she insisted on tagging along. I tried to dodge it. I told her vaguely that it wasn't really her kind of place. But she was persistent, and as always, I didn't have the courage to tell her the truth. So against my better judgment, I agreed. We arrived at the resort, and the moment we stepped through the doors, I knew I'd made a mistake. This place wasn't about relaxation. The air itself carried something electric, smiles that lingered too long, glances that promised more than words ever could. The staff barely wore uniforms at all. Everything about it pulsed with unspoken invitation. I looked at my mom, expecting shock, maybe even anger. But her face was unreadable. She checked in as if nothing about the sultry atmosphere surprised her. She smiled, thanked the staff, and carried herself like she belonged. We got separate rooms, thankfully. After dinner, she excused herself, saying she was turning in early. I felt relief wash over me. This was my chance. I headed deeper into the resort, toward the place I'd heard whispers about, the infamous pool hidden behind palm trees and flickering torches. The closer I got, the hotter my blood pulsed. This was what I came for. A place with no wedding rings, no real names, just shadows and possibility. When I stepped into the clearing, I froze. Bodies moved in the water, glistening in the torchlight. Laughter mixed with soft moans. No guilt. No consequences. It was exactly the kind of escape I'd imagined. But then I saw her. Caroline. My mother. She was standing at the edge of the pool, a drink in hand, wearing a black swimsuit that left little to the imagination. She looked completely at ease, like she wasn't shocked at all by the scene in front of her. When her eyes met mine, she raised her glass and smiled. Panic rushed through me. I ducked toward the bar, praying she hadn't noticed my reaction. Maybe she thought this was just some kind of adults-only beach party. Maybe she didn't realize what kind of resort this was. That's the lie I clung to while I ordered a drink. But from the corner of my eye, I saw her. Laughing. Leaning into conversations. Her hand resting on strangers' arms, her smile brighter than I'd seen in years. She looked alive in a way I hadn't noticed since before my father left her. Then came the game. A hostess with a clipboard walked by, inviting guests to join an icebreaker. She called it a mask game. No names. No identities. Just masks, blindfolds, and sensation. I should have walked away. Instead, I stayed. Maybe it was the alcohol, maybe it was the pull of the night, but I let someone tie the soft velvet blindfold around my eyes. The world went dark, and laughter filled the air. We were guided into the shallow pool. Hands brushed, skin touched, and voices fell silent. That's when it happened. Someone found me. Her hands were small but confident, sliding up my arms like she knew me. My heart raced. I should have pulled back, but I didn't. Her mouth met mine, hungry and searching, and every instinct told me this wasn't a stranger. Her body pressed against mine, her hips moving with a rhythm that made the truth impossible to ignore. It was her. I knew it in my bones. But still I didn't stop. Every kiss burned with danger, every touch a line crossed that could never be uncrossed. The moment was intoxicating, terrifying, and impossible to let go of. And then, just as suddenly, it was over. She slipped away like smoke. When I tore off the blindfold, the pool was a swirl of strangers, laughter, and water. She was gone. The next morning, sunlight felt cruel. Caroline was already at the breakfast table, hair tied up, sundress casual, coffee in hand. She looked at me, smiled, and asked, "Morning. Sleep well?" I nodded. Lied. Pretended. We never spoke about it, not then, not ever. The rest of the weekend was a careful performance. We toured the island, posed for photos, laughed at things that weren't funny. But beneath every smile, every brush of her hand against mine, the unspoken truth pulsed between us. When we got home, life resumed. We sat at family dinners. We celebrated birthdays. We carried on as though nothing had happened. But sometimes, when our eyes met across a room, or when her laughter lingered just a little too long, I knew. She remembered. And so did I. Some things can be buried deep. But some things never stay buried. We crossed a line. And we're still living on the other side of it.